What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is Around the Crown. We're talking all things Sacramento Kings and beyond.
Mostly beyond.
Mostly beyond the Kings at this point. If you're a Kings fan, make sure you smash up that like button down below and consider subscribing to the channel if you like beer and you like the Kings and you like basketball and you like us and you just want to have a good time after the games and hang out. Robin, I see you here. You know, you were telling me about some of the music you were making, and you know, I like your music a lot. But if you'd like to make some music for the channel, we'd love to have you. We love beats. We're going to be adding, you know, some more to the intro video, some more to these in-between transition videos, and make us a sick beat, dude. We'd love to use it. All right, Joseph, you guys donate so much time to this trash team. Don't go to the game. Y'all should go to a bar in town and watch it there. Cheaper drinks, easy to get to bathrooms. Don't pay to watch this trash.
We don't live in California, man. We got to come a long way.
We go to a bar for every game, usually.
It's been over 2 years since we saw a basketball game live. And I agree with you. I'm not stoked that this is the game that we get to go to necessarily, but I am going to be really happy to be in an arena watching live basketball again. It is, no matter how bad the Kings are, it's still one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, and you know, the first game we're going to be out and about having fun. The second game we're courtside, so we're going to have our own private bathrooms, our own you know, spot underneath the stands. We're going to go to the clubs and we're going to have fun. But if you'd like to have a beer with us after the game, we'll be out on K Street having fun.
Trying to get those media passes too, so you know, we got to meet and greet all the.
Yeah, I mean, courtside's not too bad.
No, courtside's not too bad. Never sat courtside for a game, so I'm very excited about that. Get to see Anthony Edwards jump over the whole Kings roster courtside.
Yes,
It'll be
yes.
fun.
And I want to give a quick shout out to Fred for copping another Royal Rebounds hat. It's on the way, Fred, and thank you so much for supporting us. If you guys would all like to support us, right down below here, royalrebounds.com. Check out our shop. We're doing everything right now. So if you see some cool gear you want, it's going to be popping up in the next couple days, and get it ordered. You can also follow us on Twitter, Royal_Rebounds, or on Instagram at Royal Rebounds. We have a fun time.
We do. Hawaii,
No
University of Hawaii is on a different island, man. We can't even go watch those games. It's on Oahu.
JN, dude, the last time that we were on K Street, you want to tell them the story about the dude?
Oh, no, that's all you, man. That's all you.
Last time we were on K Street was, what was that, October?
That was...
Yeah, I think it was October. We went for Fan Fest.
Yeah,
we went for Fan Fest. And, you know, we don't have the electric scooters here yet, which y'all do, and they are awesome. We're riding the scooters around town. We go up to K Street. You know, we're looking for bars to just have fun. We see the coin op, so we're looking, you know, to turn around, and there's this naked homeless dude literally across the street from the coin op. There's like this old restaurant.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Pops up underneath a blanket.
I don't remember.
Walking by.
I don't remember what it used to be. But it's got like this railing around, and the dude literally made the inside of the railing like his new home. So he jumps up and he's like butt naked, and some girl yells at him like, "Put your clothes on." And what does he say?
I don't even.
Yeah, he's like, "Shut up, bitch." And then he lays back down.
Proceeded to scream that at her as she walked like 3 blocks away.
Lays down and wraps his clothes around him, or his like sleeping bag around him. Good times, man. There's homeless people everywhere. You know, it's really tough times.
So yeah, come hang out with us on K Street. It'll be a blast.
Yeah, come be our bodyguards. We're just gonna travel in an entourage.
And then you guys are like, "Welcome to Sacramento, Vinny."
Yeah. We brought Vinny with us. It was his first time. But
oh, Joseph, that was you?
Charlie says no cup holders. Courtside, no cup holders? I'm pretty sure I saw cup holders. They were zooming on that guy when he was puking on the court, and he had like 5 beer cups in his cup holder.
Well, if the Kings are down by 60, I'm just going to throw my beer on the court, so I don't need a
You can pull
more.
a J Kid?
Yeah.
Bump me. I might puke on the court if they're down by 60. Fuck. There's so many naked homeless people for some reason. I mean, if I was homeless, I'd probably be naked too, right? You got nothing to lose at that point. You really don't. Joseph. Okay. I mean, if that was you, that's fine. You know, next time wave, say hi to us. Don't cuss at random ladies. All right, let's move on here. Enough story time. Let's talk about the Kings again. So, Calvin, last night we had an interesting conversation. I don't know if you guys know Leo from Cowbell Kingdom. Pretty popular guy, has a media pass, very well respected. We love Leo. He came in the chat last night and was all about no tanking, bring in Ben Simmons, make a trade happen. I think he was calling Tyrese Haliburton a role player. And he was just basically saying, don't get attached to these guys that haven't proven anything and trade your guys for a guy that's proven, right? Don't get your hopes up on a young guy that has a lot of potential, that hasn't proven anything. You know, basically not cut your losses, but trade up when you can. So, you know, we've had a day to kind of think about that a little bit more. You have any more thoughts on the Ben Simmons situation?
No, my thoughts are the same. If it's possible for the Kings to get Ben Simmons at this point, they need to do it. They need to. Or somebody, you know, along those lines, one of these bigger name players that is rumored to be available or is available. You know, Sabonis, Miles Turner, John Collins. They need to take a chance on one of these guys.
Speaking of which, John Collins did not have a good game tonight. Did you see his stat line?
Yeah, none of the Hawks starters really had that great of a game. They did most of their damage off the bench.
9 and 6 in 25 minutes for him tonight.
Yeah.
2 steals and a block. I like John Collins a lot. If he's available, I'd love to make a move for him. But, you know, yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. And the problem with me with Ben Simmons, I like Ben Simmons. Early on in the season, I was all in on Ben Simmons. The reason I'm a little reluctant now is it's been so long for him. He's been out. I don't know how this is going to work for Sacramento. And if you have to give up multiple first-round picks in addition to Tyrese Haliburton and some of these young, talented players, what position is that going to leave you in? If I'm picking up Ben Simmons this season, I'm definitely not expecting him to be available right away. Like, I don't know how long it'll take for him once the trade is official. He's got to go through the physical, all that. Richaun Holmes has been back, 5 games now, and he's still not in game shape. I know it's a little different. He's dealing with COVID and stuff like that. But Ben Simmons hasn't played in 9 months now?
It's been a very long time.
10 months. Last time we saw him, he was in practice with his phone in his pocket. Obviously not getting much conditioning there. So if you trade for Ben Simmons, I don't think it's going to help them this season. I think it'll help them next season. But
I'm not so sure there are any trades. I mean, as you mentioned, they could get LeBron James and Bradley Beal tomorrow. And is the team going to be better? Yeah, they'll be better. But are they, you know, a top 6, top 5 team in the Western Conference by the end of the season? No, they're probably not. But I still think that you need to get Ben Simmons now. And the reason why you need to get him now is because of what you just said. It's not going to be for this season. They're not going to make the playoffs. But at least he will have a chance a month and a half, 2 months to be able to play his way back into, he'll be able to remember what it's like to be on the basketball court. He'll work out some of the kinks or whatever that he's obviously going to have, knock dust off the cobwebs, all that stuff, so that by the time you get to the off season, he will be able to have a normal off season and work out with the team and come back, you know, pretty much 100% ready to play by the start of next season with hopefully a new team around him. Yeah. But if you wait till past the trade deadline comes and goes, and you go into the off season, and then you decide, okay, now the season's over. We can move on from that catastrophe of a year, and we'll work towards next year. If you bring him in, then now you just push next season back.
You kick
4 or 5 months.
Kick the can down the road. Yeah,
exactly. So I think you gotta. If Ben Simmons really is the guy that you want, if you're Monty McNair, you cannot wait longer than this trade deadline to go get him.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like you couldn't wait past the start of the season to get him originally, but the asking price has definitely gone down, which I think is a good thing.
Maybe. We don't know that for sure, but
that's true. January 14th? Wow. So it's been over a year. That's wild. That's really wild. So Calvin, I mean, are you giving up Tyrese Haliburton and this year's pick, which is probably going to be a good pick for Ben Simmons?
I definitely don't want to do that, but I still think that this team is so far away. Like, it needs so many different things to happen. They need to bring in a variety of players, wing depth, starting power forward. They maybe need to think about what the long-term answer at center is. As much as I love Rashawn Holmes, he just might not be the answer for them. They need to figure out what the deal is with their style of play, the backcourt. How is it going to look? They need all of those things. So I certainly wouldn't want to give up that much for a guy who hasn't played in over a year. But this team needs to take a risk. Like, you can't just do these mediocre lateral trade deals anymore and hope for your draft pick to, end up being one of the top players in the league. Like, you need to accelerate the process a little bit. And the only way to do that is by taking a fairly high risk, and trading for Ben Simmons would certainly be that.
Yeah. And I mean, then you have Simmons and Fox, no draft picks to add around them or to help trade for additional players. Not saying that I don't want to do the Ben Simmons deal. I'm just trying to think it all the way through. De'Aaron Fox's biggest criticism is he can't shoot the three. Ben Simmons' biggest criticism is he can't shoot the three. So if you give up Hali in this deal, those are the two guys you're building around. Yes, you have Buddy Hield, one of the best three-point shooters in the league. He seems to want out.
Yeah.
But can you build a successful team around two guys that reportedly are not good three-point shooters and are not getting much better?
Well, you'd have to go out and find guys to put around them that can shoot. The good thing is there are a lot of those guys in the NBA, and a lot of them you can get for fairly cheap deals. Look at Malik Monk. The guy is making $1.9 million this year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he's killing it.
I'm not saying that the Kings are going to sign Malik Monk in the offseason, but you can make those types of moves. You can bring people in like J.J. Redick's a bad example because he's retired, but you can look around the league and find there are always going to be guys that have that or that fit that mold available. So if you have those two guys, the idea is then that the defense is going to be better in the long run because you're bringing in one of the better defenders, if not the best defender in the league, over the past few years.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that
Ben Simmons has a ton of skill. He's a great playmaker. He's a big body. He can play multiple positions. As Charlie's saying in here, one of the best defenders in the league. There's a lot of positives about Ben Simmons. I don't want to take any of those away from him. But we also talk about one of the biggest needs for this Kings team is they need a vocal leader.
Yeah.
Is Ben Simmons that guy? I haven't seen Ben Simmons as that vocal guy.
I'm not so sure he is, but.
So who will be that guy?
I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying is that I think you have to start somewhere. Like, you have to just decide, okay, this is an opportunity that a franchise like Sacramento hasn't had in a really long time in terms of actually being able to potentially acquire an all-star level player. Let's get that deal done, and then let's fill out the rest of the roster around those guys. Maybe sign somebody like PJ Tucker, who is a very vocal person, another good defender, another good shooter.
I like PJ a lot.
Veteran, championship level experience, all of that stuff. You can put those little other pieces around those two, De'Aaron Fox or Tyrese or whoever it's going to be, and Ben Simmons, and go from there. Like, part of the problem, I think, is that, again, there's so much that needs to be fixed and so much that needs to be changed with this team. It's like, where do you start? Well, let's just pick one good spot here, which is this guy is an all-star level player. Hasn't played in a long time. There's a lot of question marks with what he's going to look like, his mental attitude towards everything, blah, blah, blah. Let's give him a fresh start, bring him to Sacramento. Hopefully he's appreciative of the fact that he gets his way out of Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. He has a reinvigorated attitude towards the game, brings a little bit of fire with him, and then you put the rest of the roster around that. Like, I just think that this is an opportunity that the Kings can't afford to pass up anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think they should make a deal for him. It's just what they're going to give up is the sticking point for me. And I see Gotham here and Jeff saying they'd rather, trade Fox or, trade Hali, keep Fox, kind of back and forth. Where are you at in this situation? Are you – I know we talked about this a few weeks ago, where we both kind of agreed that Haliburton, the team's ceiling is higher with Haliburton just because he's more well-rounded player and he can do so many different things. But it seems like they're choosing Fox over Haliburton. And so if Haliburton is included in the trade, they will have officially chose Fox over Haliburton. Are you in that ship, or do you think that they should do a deal of Fox for Ben Simmons, keep Haliburton, maybe keep one or two of these first-round picks?
That's a really hard question to answer. I feel that the Kings shouldn't limit themselves at this point. The franchise is every day sinking to a new low. Like, it's been 15 years since we made the playoffs. They just got their asses whooped for the last 2 games, like historic losses. Yeah. Boston's biggest win in franchise history. That's one of the oldest teams in the NBA. Like, all of these things are multiplying and adding up, and it's been adding up over a decade now. So I don't think that the Kings should limit themselves to trying to improve this team by saying we're going to stick with Fox and Haliburton and build around them. Because the problem with that is, who are you going to bring in to build around them? What deals can you make right now? Can you get Sabonis for Buddy Hield and Marvin Bagley? I don't know, but maybe you can. But I'm certainly not 100% confident of that. Can you get any of these players that we think putting them with Tyrese and Fox are going to drastically improve this team? I'm really not so sure about that at this point, especially with the way the team's playing. So then you're totally putting all your eggs in the basket of free agency in the draft, which is what the Kings have been doing for the past how many years? And it hasn't improved the team really at all. I mean, they've gotten like marginally better over the years, but then it's dipped back down. So that's why I just don't think you can really say like, there are these guys on the team that are untouchable. I think you have to be open to everything right now when it comes to improving the roster as a whole.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I see a lot of people that want to trade Hali, just like Leo said. He's a role player at this point. He hasn't proven anything. De'Aaron Fox has proven a lot more. So, that's the safer bet, right, is to keep Fox, trade Haliburton, get this guy. But, another reason it's
also a little unfair to say that he hasn't proven anything. I mean, look at the cards that he's been dealt his first 2 years in the NBA.
Yeah.
and got drafted by the Sacramento Kings, which have been one of the worst teams in the league for a long time. He got put next to a guy in De'Aaron Fox who needs the ball all the time. He has to kind of figure out how to play with him. He went through a pandemic his first year in the league. And he still was in the conversation for Rookie of the Year last year. He's had an improved season this year.
Yep.
So to say that he hasn't proven anything, well, yeah, you're right. Like, he hasn't won any awards.
Fox hasn't
made the
Fox
playoffs.
hasn't won an award
But what
either.
chance has he been given to prove anything?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, and it's not like Fox is an all-star either. I know a lot of people think that he should have been, but he isn't. He has not made an all-star team. The reason I like Fox for Ben Simmons better is simply money-wise. Is I feel like a Fox for Ben Simmons trade works out well, and it still allows the Kings to add another piece, to have that salary cap. Versus if you're trading Tyrese and a bunch of fillers, you're bringing in Ben Simmons' contract, and you still have De'Aaron Fox on a max contract. It makes it a lot harder to bring in other guys to help. And I see everybody here in the chat or a bunch of people saying, you know, Ben Simmons replaces Haliburton's playmaking ability. You know, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't.
He does.
I think that's a good point. But also, you know, you look at the last time the Kings were successful, they had lots of playmakers on the court. They could do all different things. But one thing that Ben Simmons does not replace on Tyrese Haliburton is three-point shooting. Tyrese has been one of the best three-point shooters on this team all season long.
Absolutely. He's been one of the best three-point shooters in the entire NBA all year.
Hey, Monty. I love how I'm hearing from you guys all in the chat. I love it. I love to hear from you guys. I like how everyone's got an opinion on what needs to happen. We got a bunch of young GMs here, and I love it. You know, it just shows your passion that you guys, you know, care about this team so much. You're involved. You want things to change. We all want things to change. But, you know, it's hard to come in here and watch this and talk about it after humiliating loss after humiliating loss. What is this, 5 losses in a row? And people are still tuning in and want to talk about the Kings. So that right there shows me how true of fans you guys really are. And I love it. All right. Moving on here, Calvin. Kind of on a similar topic. But we talked about coaching before. And it seemed like you and I were on the same page. We had some guys we really liked, you know, Kenny Atkinson, some younger guys that we thought were kind of motivational guys that would help lift the team up. We also talked about Mike D'Antoni, how he fits Fox perfectly, right? Like, he could be the guy
on paper
that could unlock De'Aaron Fox. So let's say you trade for Ben Simmons. I think we can all agree here that Alvin Gentry is not the answer, right? I think he's done the best job that he could. You know, I like Alvin Gentry a lot. I respect him, everything he's done in the league, but I don't think he's the right guy for Sacramento. He'll probably finish the season as Kings head coach, which I'm totally fine with, because in my opinion, this is a lost season. But if he were the head coach of Sacramento next year, I'd probably be disappointed. So we talked about potentially Mike D'Antoni, stuff like that. If you were to bring in a Ben Simmons, would you still want a guy like Mike D'Antoni? Or is there another guy that you'd prefer? If the Kings end up trading Fox for Ben Simmons, do you still like Mike D'Antoni? I just want to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, if De'Aaron Fox is not going to be on the team, I definitely don't like Mike D'Antoni as much. You know, again, I think it's going to depend on what the rest of the roster looks like. I would still prefer, even if Fox stays on the team, whether or not you get Ben Simmons or whatever, I would still prefer a defense-first coach for this team. As fun as it would be to see, you know, the 7 seconds or less offense with De'Aaron Fox and the team leading the league in points scored. Mm-hmm. I have such little faith in this team's ability to play defense that I don't even know if that team would be a playoff team.
Yeah.
So for me, yeah, I think it still has to be guys like Kenny Atkinson or Steve Clifford or, someone who has the reputation of a defense first guy. I mean, almost like a Tom Thibodeau style person. This young team that has no leadership and all that stuff, they need the stereotypical, like, crack the whip type coach, the guy that's going to make you run sprints until you literally fall down, and you like Coach Carter. I mean, that's
someone that's going to make them
is Coach
pay
Carter.
for games like this and games like last night.
And I don't know, if certain guys on this team can even be reached by an individual like that, but that's the type of person that you need for this team right now. They changed the roster up, bring in veteran players, better defenders, guys that have come from winning backgrounds, things like that. Then maybe you don't need that Newt Rockne type motivational coach or whatever, or defense first coach. But again, that's the thing, is the front office, this organization has so many tough decisions to make, and they're all connected to each other. The style of play, the players that make up the roster, the coach that's going to lead that team, everything is dependent on each other. So it's one big, huge question to answer. Unfortunately, it's going to have to be done in multiple steps.
Everyone looks at, Mike D'Antoni is the offensive first guy, and I totally agree, but, people fail to forget that his last year in Houston, they had the best defensive rating in the NBA. I don't know how much of that had to do with him. Assistant coaches, staff, players.
He did hire some very well-respected defensive assistant coaches.
How would you feel about a guy like Brett Brown, who's coached Ben Simmons in the past?
Yeah.
Done, I think, a pretty good job with him. And he's also ridden out a losing culture and brought in a winning culture as well.
Yeah.
I know he's been fired. Most coaches, if not all coaches in the NBA, have been fired at one point. That's basically when they leave their jobs.
I don't think you're going to find – well, I guess Steve Kerr's never been fired, but yeah.
But yes.
I don't think you're going to find many.
But it seemed like, Brett Brown was able to turn that team around. Yes, he was able to get much better players than he had before. But I think him and Ben have a good relationship. Would you be open to a guy like that coming to Sacramento? If they were to trade for Ben Simmons?
Yeah, I would be open to that for sure. I think there are a bunch of coaching candidates that I would be okay with the Kings hiring. I just was not happy with Luke Walton.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bad move from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And, a lot of it really boils down to the players that you have on your team anyway. I mean, it's a players-driven league. Coaches obviously make a big impact and have a lot of influence on their teams, but this is a players' league. You need the players to win.
I saw Frank Vogel here in the chat. I know he's a defensive-minded guy.
Yeah.
But you brought up Luke Walton, and it just takes me back to what are we just going to hire every coach that gets fired by the Lakers now?
Yeah. Or what about trying to get Mike Brown away from Golden State? He's been there, been an assistant there for a long, long time.
Couldn't win with LeBron, but
well-respected
that's okay.
Guy. I mean, yeah, he couldn't win with LeBron, but
he won Coach of the Year and got fired. Not a lot of guys that do that.
It's true.
Not
Casey did that also.
Will says, what about Doug Christie?
I mean, I love Doug Christie, the person. I think that he was a great hire for the team this year. I don't really know what type of impact he's had on the team overall. But again, I still feel the same way about him as when he took over for that brief 4-game stint or whatever it was when Alvin Gentry was out with COVID and everybody was, throwing him into the head coaching position at that point. I just don't think he's ready for it yet. Not to say that he wouldn't do an admirable job, but for what this team needs and how much improvement they need to make, a guy that hasn't gone through all of everything that it requires and takes to be a head coach in this league, it's just another big gamble. It's another huge roll of the dice. I would rather have somebody who it has more experience under his belt. And I would love to see Doug Christie stay on the staff as an assistant and continue to learn, build with the team.
Yep.
And then he'll probably get another, head coaching job somewhere else after that. But
Sac Kings 005 says, or 005 says, Doug and Bobby.
yeah, why not? I mean, why not? Because what Bobby Jackson is doing in the G League, everybody always says really, really great things about him, but the Kings don't use his players anyway, so you might as well just bring him up to the big league team.
Oh, man. Yeah, this is tough. Bring back Jaeger. How is Jaeger doing? I know is he dealing with cancer, right, or something? I wish him the best.
I think he does have some
I would
form of
love
cancer.
to
I'm
bring
not sure.
Dave Jaeger back. I actually had a good time. I went to a lot of bars and took a lot of shots of Jaeger when he was coach of Sacramento. Haven't had a shot of Jaeger since he's been fired. But I think the product on the court was great too. I saw Summer Lowe was mentioning something about next year's draft. I feel like you're a better draft analyst than I am, in the fact that you just watch so much more college basketball than I do.
Love college basketball. I've watched fewer college basketball games this year than probably any year for the past 10 years, though.
So Summer was saying it seems like this year's draft is not as deep as last year's. I want to hear your thoughts.
It's not expected to be, no. There are some really, really good players in this draft. But the overall consensus is that it is, from top to bottom, not nearly going to be as deep or as strong as last year's class.
So does that make it even more important that the Kings need to secure a top pick in this draft, or does it make their pick basically more tradable?
I don't know. That's hard to answer. I think, again, it depends on what it would take to acquire somebody like a Ben Simmons or one of these bigger name players that you think is going to have an immediate impact on the team. If the Kings end up in the top 10 of this draft, they're still going to get a good player. I think the top 5 or 6 players have the potential to be very special. Mm-hmm. After that, it drops off a little bit. But if you're picking at 7 or 8, or where the Kings are projected right now, you're still going to be able to find, I think, a really solid player, especially if you can somehow pull off a deal where you get Ben Simmons or one of those other players that we keep talking about and keep your pick. Then you're in a really good position.
Yeah, Brendan says Ivy for the all-guard lineup.
I mean, I would draft that guy. I know the Kings have a ton of guards, but we're talking about a starting shooting guard right away who is a phenomenal athlete and an amazing defender. The guy is really, really solid in a lot of aspects. So if the Kings had a chance to take him, I would take him in a heartbeat.
And, this offseason, we're going to do draft preview shows. We're going to do a draft show. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Calvin will be breaking down all the top 10 picks. And if the Kings do have a pick, what fits that team. Vinny, can you show my screen here? I want to go back to this website again, tankathon.com. If you're a Kings fan, you need to add this on your bookmarks, because this is something you're going to use every single year. So I guess with these added losses here, Sacramento is now in the 6th projected spot. You can sim the lottery here and see what happens. Oh, number 6 again, and you can even look at our mock draft. So let's take a look here. And Cal, you want to go through some of these guys that you like, maybe the top 6, including
I like
Sacramento?
all the guys in the top 6. I mean, Jabari Smith, we already talked about it a little bit on another show, but that dude is going to be a star in the NBA. He's ready to play NBA basketball right now today. There are very few people 6'10" that can do what he can do with the basketball. He's truly a generational talent.
Kings need a 4.
So if there's any way in hell that the Kings can somehow end up getting him, that would be that'd be the steal of.
You think he's
the
a lock
century
at number one?
In my opinion, he's definitely the top prospect in this draft.
Okay.
And I don't, Paulo Banchero has a decent chance to kind of go neck and neck with him. The NCAA tournament obviously will have a lot to say about where these guys end up ultimately. I love Chet Holmgren too. I think that he's, just an incredibly unique player. There really are not many people on this earth 7 feet or taller that can handle the ball and shoot the ball like he can. But for me personally, Jabari Smith, Paulo Banchero, Jaden Ivey. I like Keegan Murray here, which is what Charlie said in the draft as well. I think he's a really, really fine player. And Ben Matherin from Arizona is another guy that I'm very, very high on. I think he probably will, as we can see here on the screen, be available in that 6 to 8 range. So if the Kings end up picking him, I think that they will end up with a very safe pick at that spot.
Okay. Oh, man. It's crazy. We're not even at the trade deadline yet, and we're talking about the next year's draft. But I guess, hey, that's what happens when you're 18 and 32.
There are a lot of different ways to create your own shot. I'm just going to say that. I realize that he doesn't necessarily have the complete ball handling package. He's not going to be making step backs and other stuff like this, but he has an incredibly smooth fadeaway jump shot. When you're 6'10", you can create your own shot without moving by a fadeaway jump shot. So, and he's incredibly athletic. So I love Jabari Smith, everything about him.
Yeah, and if you can keep Haliburton, Haliburton loves to set up the big man.
Yeah.
So that would definitely help as well. All right, Calvin, you ready to move on here?
Yeah, I think so.